In a world where everyone is trying to be heard, the loudest voice often wins. People argue. They defend their opinions. They explain themselves. And they believe that intelligence is proven through words. But what if the most powerful mind is the one that doesn't speak at all? What if the smartest person in the room is the one quietly watching, while everyone else reveals themselves? The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once understood something most people never realize. Human beings expose themselves constantly, through their emotions, their reactions, their need for validation. And if you learn how to observe instead of react, you begin to see the hidden structure of human behavior. Because the real advantage in life is not speaking better than others. It's seeing them more clearly than they see you. Tonight, we explore the silent strategy of psychological power and how to outsmart anyone without saying a word. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. If a conversation pauses, they rush to fill it. If someone doesn't respond, they become anxious. Silence creates pressure, and that pressure makes people reveal themselves. This is why silence can be more powerful than speech. When you stop reacting immediately, people begin to talk more. They explain themselves. They justify their actions. They expose their insecurities. Without realizing it, they give you information. And information is power. The quiet observer learns something the talker never does. While they are focused on expressing themselves, you are studying them, their tone, their ego, their fears, and by the time they finish speaking, you already understand them better than they understand you. One of the greatest weaknesses in human psychology is the desire to be understood. People want approval, they want recognition, they want others to agree with them. And because of this, they reveal far more than they should. They argue passionately. They defend themselves emotionally. They over-explain. But the moment someone feels the need to prove themselves, they lose psychological control. Nietzsche believed that true strength comes from independence of opinion, not from convincing others, but from not needing to convince them at all. The strongest minds do not beg for agreement. They simply observe and act. Most people believe intelligence means speaking well. But real intelligence often means seeing what others miss. Every person reveals themselves through patterns. The person who constantly interrupts reveals insecurity. The person who boasts too much reveals hidden doubt. The person who attacks others' ideas aggressively often fears their own weakness. Human behavior is predictable, but only to those who watch carefully. Nietzsche understood that beneath our civilized appearance, we are still driven by deeper forces: ego, power, recognition. And once you start observing these forces, you begin to see human behavior almost like a game where most players don't realize they are playing. People are comfortable with those they understand, but they are cautious around those they cannot read. When you reveal everything about yourself, others know how to manipulate you. They know your fears, your triggers, your weaknesses, but when you remain calm, quiet, and slightly mysterious, people become uncertain, and uncertainty shifts the psychological balance. They begin to watch you instead. They wonder what you're thinking. They question how you will react. In that moment, you hold the invisible advantage. Most people think intelligence is about logic, but the deeper form of intelligence is emotional discipline. Because emotions reveal vulnerability, Anger exposes your limits. Defensiveness exposes your insecurity. Frustration exposes your impatience. And the moment someone can control your emotions, they control you. This is why remaining calm in tense situations creates a silent psychological authority. When others lose control, and you remain steady, you instantly shift the power dynamic without raising your voice, without arguing, without saying a word. One of the greatest mistakes people make is speaking too quickly. They interrupt. They respond immediately. They reveal their position before understanding the situation. But the patient observer does the opposite. They listen longer than expected. They allow silence to stretch. They encourage others to keep talking. And the longer people speak, the more their real intentions emerge. Their ego appears, their contradictions surface, their weaknesses become visible. And once you see the full picture, your next move becomes obvious. Winning an argument rarely changes anyone. Most debates are not about truth. They are about ego. People defend their beliefs because those beliefs are tied to their identity. And attacking someone's belief feels like attacking the person themselves. This is why arguments escalate, and why logic alone rarely convinces anyone. Nietzsche understood this psychological reality. Sometimes the smartest move is not defeating someone in debate, but letting them believe they have won. Because the real victory is not proving you are right. The real victory is maintaining your clarity. When someone insults you, your reaction reveals your power. If you become angry, they control you. If you become defensive, they influence your emotions. But if you remain completely calm, their attack loses meaning. Your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting their behavior back at them. And often they begin to feel uncomfortable because aggression needs resistance. Without it, it collapses. Most conversations happen on two levels: the words being spoken and the motivations beneath them. People rarely say exactly what they mean. They disguise insecurity with confidence. They disguise envy with criticism. They disguise fear with aggression. But the quiet observer sees the deeper layer. They notice tone, body language, timing, and when you learn to read these signals, human behavior becomes far easier to understand. Nietzsche believed that true strength comes from self-mastery, not controlling others, but controlling yourself, your impulses, your reactions, your need for approval. Because the person who no longer needs validation becomes extremely difficult to manipulate. They are not easily provoked, not easily influenced, not easily distracted. And that kind of inner independence creates a quiet psychological authority. In a world filled with noise, silence becomes rare, and rare things hold power. The person who speaks less often sees more. The person who reacts less often understands more. And the person who masters themselves becomes impossible to control. You don't need to dominate conversations. You don't need to win every argument. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. Sometimes, the greatest intelligence is simply observing, learning, and choosing the perfect moment to act. Because in the silent space between reaction and response, real power lives. And those who understand this can outsmart almost anyone without saying a word.